Welcome to another episode of Lombardi Time Brews. I am your host, Jon Delray. You can follow me on Twitter at Jon Delray. That's the @ symbol JONDELRAY to check out all of the discussion and content going on Twitter. Other than that, hit like, share, subscribe to wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. Keep on spreading it around. In today's episode, we're going to cover a couple different things. I've noticed that over the last couple of days, the annual tradition, that wonderful thing that happens every September, all of the content creators that surround this great team do their superlatives. They name the winners of different categories, different internal team awards, and so that is what we are doing today. In addition, I also have my first mail day for you, things that I've purchased over the last little spat of time that I'm going to show you, that things that are going straight into my personal collection. All the items today are mine, at least for now. So, gonna go through that, and then I also wanted to remind you about Lombardi Time Brews' very first giveaway. A Willie Davis 8x10, James Lofton autograph card, Leroy Butler autograph card, and an A.J. Dillon rookie select card. So all you got to do, head to Twitter. I said my handle earlier, just type that in, follow me, retweet one of the giveaway tweets, like it, send me a question, and I'm going to be going through those questions on Thursday's episode. If your question is picked, you are eligible to win and potentially get sent these great prizes from me and the team here at Lombardi Time Brews. So enter that giveaway, send some questions. We're going to have a lot of fun on Thursday answering questions and seeing who is going to get some great giveaway prizes from 3 NFL Hall of Famers and then Quadzilla and the Quadfather himself, A.J. Dillon. So, diving into today's superlatives, I basically just took the most popular ones that I've been seeing go around online over the last couple of days and put my take to answering who it is that is going to be, win, or do any one of these things. And the first section of superlatives is all of the firsts of the season. So who's going to get the first sack, the first pick, the first touchdown, etc.? And it starts with sack. I said the first sack of the season is going to be Rashan Gary. We know Minnesota's offensive line is not stellar. It hasn't been for a long time. I love Rashan Gary. He is my favorite player on the team. I am willing this to be so let's make it happen. Rashan gets sack number 1. Interception number 1 goes to Darnell Savage. We've seen the pattern over the 3 years of his career that Darnell would have so many more interceptions if he could just hang on to them. And I think going against Kirk Cousins, I think Minnesota is going to, even with Green Bay secondary, going to try to attack deep with Thielen and Jefferson, even having Cook try to get some receptions. I do think that with Kevin O'Connell as their head coach now, we're going to see Minnesota try to pull a lot of bags out of the trick and even try throwing deep on this secondary, in which case that's where Darnell Savage can be lurking and make his first play of the season. Who's going to get the first receiving touchdown? That's Allen Lazard. He had 8 touchdowns last year, and of course, this is contingent upon him playing, since practicing, he was just with the rehab group yesterday for practice. The only member of the 53 that wasn't doing the full practice. But still, if he plays on Sunday, I see him getting that first touchdown. He is the new de facto wide receiver 1. Rodgers has kind of cemented that. He's talked tremendously this whole training camp time about Lazard and getting him the ball, proving that he's a number 1. I think Rodgers is going to do it with intention to get the monkey off of Lazard's back right away, get him a score early in the game. So Rodgers to Lazard, touchdown 1. First rushing touchdown, that one's going to go to Aaron Jones. I know A.J. Dillon is this big bruiser who is a goal line back, right? You look at him and you think, okay, he goes to the goal line. But Aaron Jones is deceptively good at it, because one of Aaron Jones' greatest strengths is actually reading the line, knowing which way to shift, and then using his elusiveness to just kind of squirt through. He's been a shockingly effective goal line back despite his size throughout the entirety of his career. Aaron Jones, I think, is going to see the field more heavily in the early part of the season than the latter. That's kind of been his pattern over the last few years. A lot of it, affected by injury, but I still think Aaron Jones is going to be the first one to get a rushing touchdown this year. And then the first explosive play, the first play that goes over 20 yards, I think that's going to a new guy, Sammy Watkins. Again, Rodgers is going to look to get his receiving crew the ball early. Sammy Watkins always, it's the stuff of legend. He always balls out in week 1. No one understands why. Maybe it's because the only week of the year that he's 100% healthy. Who knows? But I think he's going to get that first big play. I think Sammy Watkins is going to have himself a good day on Sunday. Now, moving on to more season-long superlatives. These are things like MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year, biggest concerns, underrated player, etc., etc. So this is season-long superlatives. Number 1, biggest concern. My biggest concern for this team. By the way, before I answer this, shout out to Paul Bertle. He's the one who put this list together on Twitter. This is the one that I thought was really nice and comprehensive, so this is the one that I thought I would answer. So biggest concern, actually playing a complete game. We saw it several times last year that this team would allow inferior teams to kind of work themselves back into games. The Packers would get a big early lead, or the Packers would jump out in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden they just kind of work their way back in. I want to see that all gas, no brake mentality from Matt LaFleur that he had in year 1, that we can just pummel somebody. Use this offense, shut up everybody about the lack of receivers, especially the Good Morning Football crew, where 3 of the 4 of them picked the Vikings to win the division this year. Shut them up with this offense. Go out, put up 40, and don't let a team creep back in the fourth quarter. In terms of playing a complete game, I also mean all 3 phases of the game. Of course, special teams is a concern. We all know that. But defense and offense, at times last year, the defense would have a great game and the offense would disappear. Or the offense would have a great game and then the defense would lack in something. Run defense, covering a tight end, whatever. I want to see complete complementary football this year. Complete games. Rather than this give and take that we have constantly seen over the last couple of years, and ultimately, paired with our horrendous special teams, has led to the downfall of their playoff performances. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Few contenders here. Obviously, second-round receiver Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. I even gave a lot of thought to Zach Tom, because I think he's going to see the field this year. But ultimately, I got to go with Romeo. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? I think he's going to be the receiver on the rookie level that is the most ready to come in right now. I think he's the one most ready to make contributions. Christian Watson is going to have some highlight plays throughout the course of the year, but Romeo is going to be the steadier one. Because of that, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year, first-round pick Quay Walker. I don't think there's too many other choices here. Quay Walker is going to be starting from day 1. We've already seen in the preseason his sideline-to-sideline speed, his sure tackling. He's going to be an impact player for this defense. His versatility alone is going to be able to change the calls that Joe Barry is able to make. So I think Quay Walker, I think he's bound to be your Defensive Rookie of the Year, barring something horrifically unforeseen. An underrated player. Again, I got to go on the defensive side of the ball. Eric Stokes. He's part of the 3-headed monster at corner. Rasul, Jaire, Eric Stokes. As a rookie last year, he started, I think it was 13 games off the top of my head. And he was a corner 1. He just stepped right in as a rookie. A very quiet rookie last year because of all the Aaron Rodgers drama. We didn't know what to expect from Eric Stokes. And then there were the training camp reports last year of him getting burned by Devontae constantly. And all of a sudden, the dude started all year and played really well. Really well. Some of the advanced metrics from PFF as well as the NFL show that he had some of the tightest and stickiest coverage in the entire NFL. As a rookie. As a very unheralded first-round rookie. As we're talking about the greatness of the secondary, I feel like it gets lost too often that Eric Stokes is a major part of that. And he's only entering year 2. I'm not sure how you could underestimate this secondary for Green Bay, but he is 1/5 of it that I think is underrated. The X Factor. I had a really hard time deciding here. An X Factor is the guy, the what can make or break a season. And I think Packers actually have two. One is Aaron Jones. I think a lot of the offense this year is going to hinge on Aaron Jones as a receiver and as a runner. He is a very necessary and foundational component to what Matt LaFleur is going to be able to call. I think he is the Packer with the most likely, not necessarily breakaway speed, but most likely for explosive plays. He is a huge part of whether this offense and this new picture of this mosaic-style offense with several individuals contributing, he could be the glue to make sure that it goes. He could become Mr. Reliable when you need a certain thing. Aaron Jones could very well make or break this offense. And then on the flip, Mason Crosby. I talked in yesterday's video about how Mason Crosby really has something to prove this year. He needs to prove that it wasn't that it was the entirety of special teams that led to his downfall last year. He needs to prove that he still has the leg that shows that he can be one of the best kickers in the NFL like he was 3 and 2 years ago. Because we know in playoff time, when games are tighter, when offenses stagnate, you need to make your kicks. And he didn't last year in Frisco. And he didn't too often. Look at that game against Cincinnati last year, when he missed, I think it was 3 game winners in a row. If they lose that game, that can affect playoff seeding. It can affect the momentum of your season. Mason Crosby has to become Mr. Reliable that we've seen, or else he can be so emblematic of the massive special teams issues that may continue. He's an X factor for the season, and it shouldn't be overlooked. They got to get him right. Next category, don't forget. Just don't forget. Don't forget about Kenny Clark. He's a bad man. And I'm really excited to see him in this defense playing over the tackle. We know that he played over the tackle more than double any other time in his career last year. I'm excited to see what that means when he's got a further developed defensive line with him, with Jerron Reed, a year 2 TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt. I'm just excited to see more ability on that line so that Kenny's not all by himself. And now shifting out to over the tackle, what kind of pass rush are we going to see from Kenny Clark? I think last year showed a step in what can be. I think this year shows what will be. Kenny Clark can be an absolute monster, and I think he's going to be this year. I am so excited for those plays when we're going to have Kenny Clark on an end and then Rashan Gary, an outside linebacker. I'm going to hearken it back to the days of Willie Davis and Dave Robinson on the same side of the line. And then back then you also had Herb Adderley at corner. This year it could be Jaire. Whew, hot damn. Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to watch the defense, especially that line. Don't forget about Kenny Clark when taking into the computations of how good this defense can be. That leads us right into the breakout player. It's hard to say he's going to break out. I kind of feel like that was last year. He's already getting a lot of Defensive Player of the Year buzz. I saw the latest Vegas odds were 1,600 or plus 1,600 for Rashan Gary, which really makes me want to place a bet. But Rashan Gary, breakout star. And I think last year was his, all right, I'm coming. This year is the, I'm here, and you're going to respect it, and I'm going to wreck games for you. I think this is the year that Rashan Gary ascends himself to a lot of the other edge players, a lot of the sack leaders in the league, the Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, that name pedigree. The Khalil Mack of a couple years ago. I think Rashan Gary this year enters the echelon of not rising star, but he has arrived. And he now is in the top tier of name recognition for edge players along the NFL. A Pro Bowl is my bottom expectation for Rashan Gary, which feels insane, but I think it's true. Now, who's an unsung hero on this roster? To me, Jon Runyan Jr. This guy was a 6th-round pick 2 years ago. And then all of a sudden he came in his rookie year, he did some spot starts, he played a bunch, and he was solid. And then last year, the line is in flux, right? I mean, Bakhtiari, and then you got Jenkins halfway through the season with his injury. There's moving parts all over the place, and yet one steady presence the entire time was Jon Runyan Jr. So consistent, so steady. Not a single penalty throughout the course of the entire year last year, which is absurd for a guy who started every game. That's insane. And yet, when we talk about the line, a lot of the focus, as it should be because of how good they are, is on the tackles. But Jon Runyan Jr., I mean, Elgton Jenkins kicked out all over the place last year. Jon Runyan Jr. came in and we barely missed a beat. From a guy who was a 6th-round pick. That's no joke. So he needs to start getting more and more credit for being the stability along the offensive line. I'm going to pair that with the next category as well, dark horse contributor. Who this kind of is like an unsung hero. To me, this is who comes out of nowhere, who doesn't have that recognition to really help the team. And I'm going to say, it's not so much dark horse, but I am going to say Josh Myers, the center. I think he's another unsung hero. I think he's a guy that, again, is very overlooked. He's not Corey Linsley. He's not. We know that. But he played very, very well this preseason. And we have to acknowledge that, too. Played very well this preseason. Played very well at times last year. He's a guy that doesn't get a lot of talk about, but just like Jon Runyan Jr. is one of the most cohesive parts of the line, assuming he stays healthy, which he wasn't able to do last year for a stretch of the season. But big contributor there. I also made a category for comeback player of the year. The Packers have several candidates for this. Elgton Jenkins, David Bakhtiari, Kylan Hill, Robert Tonyan. And I went with David Bakhtiari. Man, I am so hopeful for him to get back onto the field, to be the David Bakhtiari that we all know and love. If he plays this year, that spot is his. Comeback player of the year. If he's able to play the vast majority of the season, I should say. And I think he will. Reports yesterday indicate that he's very, very close. He's hopeful for week 1. If he plays comeback player of the year, if he's even close to the David Bakhtiari that we used to know and protecting Aaron Rodgers' blindside, comeback player of the year is his for the Packers. Certainly hopeful to get an all-pro left tackle back. And then team MVP. Where else do you go? I mean, let's be real. It's Aaron Rodgers. 4-time MVP, back-to-back MVP. He is the team. He is. And that's nothing to, if he gets hurt, Matt LaFleur said it himself, if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt and Jordan Love needs to play a few games, the Packers probably win a couple, which you really couldn't have said over the last couple of years. But nonetheless, he's Aaron freaking Rodgers. He's your team MVP, because as he goes, the team will go. This team, I think, is better suited to have a worse quarterback than we have in years past. And that's in spite of what we would call the lack of top-tier speed or top-tier name recognition at wide receiver. This is a ground-and-pound team with talent passing the ball, otherwise known as a Super Bowl contender. But the defense should be top flight. The running game should be top flight. The offensive line, assuming health, will be one of the best in the NFL. And yet, in spite of all of that, this is Aaron Rodgers' team. And he is the team MVP. That's it. So up next, I'm actually going to turn this camera around and I'm going to show you a few things that I got over the last couple of days, over the last week, things that are going into my personal collection, a little bit of a memorabilia shift here, showing you a couple things and even asking a couple questions of you. If you have any intel on a couple of these items, I would love to hear about it on Twitter, or of course you could always email me. Both of those ways of contacting me are always flashed on the ending screen of the podcast on YouTube, and I try most days to put my Twitter handle in the audio podcast details as well. So, stick around. We're going to do a memorabilia focus next. After all, Lombardi Time Brews is part a memorabilia show, so not all of these are huge, but they are things that I needed for my collection, a collection that I'll be going through much more fully as time goes on. So the first thing that I'm going to show you here, this one actually just arrived this morning. Herb Adderley signed card in Upper Deck. These are not particularly high value cards, but I did need something more modern for Herb Adderley. So there you see it there, 2005 NFL Legends. Herb Adderley autograph, one I'm very, very happy with there. Nice looking card. So moving on from that, this is actually a cut. And please, if you're watching or listening to the show, I know listening is darn near impossible to a memorabilia show like this, but this one right here, this is a Forrest Gregg cut autograph. You can see Forrest Gregg, I believe that's him in the bottom left-hand corner. So taking a look at this, Forrest Gregg cut autograph, slabbed, authenticated by PSA. If you happen to know where this could be from, not the image itself, but the actual like image, see how it's kind of almost like corrugated cardboard on the back there? I genuinely know very, very little about this. I would be curious to know what it's from, if this was from a box or an advertisement. Still saw it over the course of this last week. Actually saw this one on eBay and nabbed it up. A piece that I'm really, really happy with. I would just love to know more about it. And then moving on from that one, this is actually a rainbow that I'm working on. For those of you that don't know, a rainbow is when you're working on getting all of the different colors of a particular card of one athlete. So here's an example. This is the Rashan Gary white. I'm working on the select for Rashan Gary for his rookie year. So what card companies do is they put out a card and then they do different parallels in all of these different colors. This would be of white, and of each color, they make a certain number of them. For instance, the black one, there's only one. It's a 1 of 1. Green, there's 5. Silver, there's 199, I believe, in this year. But this would be the white. And so that means that there were 35 of these cards produced for Rashan Gary's rookie year. You can see it right there. This one is number 33 of 35. This is one of the last ones that I needed for the autograph rainbow of Rashan Gary's rookie year select. I'm still missing the of 5 green, and of course a black 1 of 1. So, have any leads on those? Make sure you let me know. But Rashan Gary select, I absolutely love this card. Rashan Gary is my favorite guy on the team currently. Really, really proud to be building this rainbow. Really, really excited to get this one in over the last couple of days. So there you have it, Rashan Gary select rookie auto. Beautiful card. Love that card. And then the last one for today, a pretty quick mail day. But this one goes back in time a little bit. Another thing that I just scooped up as of recent. I had to take it out of its sleeve because it was way too glary on the little test run of video that I did here. But take a look at this. I'm going to back it up a little bit. Yeah. 1945 Don Hutson ad from Wheaties. This was published in a couple different comics back in 1945, the very tail end of his playing career for the Green Bay Packers. Really, really neat. On the flip side of it, I do want to show this to you. Going to be very, very careful without it in a sleeve. There we go. Flying Old Man is the back comic. I love it. But from 1945, Don Hutson, Wheaties ad. Love it so much. So proud to take this piece of history, add to my collection. You can see the colors are still really vibrant. There's the Wheaties portion. Please mention True Comics when talking about this. I love it. And then you got some stats about Don Hutson. Really, really cool. Very happy to add that piece to my collection from 1945. And that's it for today's episode of Lombardi Time Brews. Thanks for checking it out. Before you go, just a reminder, hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, hit all the buttons, and let's continue to spread around this video so we can get more contributions, more people listening, and we can build a Packer community. Also, do not forget about our giveaway. For all the details, just follow me on Twitter. That's at Jon Delray. @JonDelray. I've got 2 tweets that are out there that are all about the giveaway. Just a reminder, all you got to do, follow me on Twitter, like that tweet, share it, and DM me a question that you would like to see answered on this Thursday's episode of Lombardi Time Brews. We're doing our very first mailbag. The questions have been coming in a little bit more over the last couple of days. You have until Wednesday night, Lombardi Time, that's tomorrow night, to follow me, get a question in, and then be eligible to win. The prizes are a Willie Davis 8x10, Leroy Butler autograph card, James Lofton autograph card, and an A.J. Dillon Rookie Select. The Rookie Select for A.J. Dillon, it's a little bit different than the Rashan Gary I just showed you. It has a jersey patch in it instead of an autograph. It's not numbered, but still, nonetheless, A.J. Dillon Rookie Select card to go along with 3 NFL Hall of Famer autographs. So hop into the giveaway, follow me on Twitter, follow the instructions, you got it. Hop on and you can win some great prizes from our first ever giveaway. So that's it for today. Thanks for checking out Lombardi Time Brews. I will be back with another video tomorrow. You have yourself a great day.